You don't lose arguments because you're wrong. You lose because your emotions are predictable. This exposed truth changes everything, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. You've been trained to believe something false, that power comes from volume, that dominance comes from force, that winning means overpowering. That belief was engineered, because the moment you raise your voice, you lose control, and control is the only currency that matters. The forbidden truth is simple. The person who stays calm is not weak. They are extracting information. They are watching you unravel. They are positioning themselves to win. Ancient philosophers understood this long before psychology had a name, long before neuroscience confirmed it. Silence was never passive. Silence was strategic. And today, you're going to learn why. Here's the first shocking insight. The louder someone gets, the less persuasive they become. Not emotionally, neurologically. When you raise your voice, the brain of the listener doesn't hear confidence, it hears threat. Threat activates defense. Defense kills influence. This is not opinion, it's biology. Once emotions spike, logic shuts down. The argument becomes tribal, not rational. That's why debates collapse. That's why couples spiral. That's why meetings turn hostile. And here's the forbidden part. The calm person controls the emotional temperature of the room. They decide when tension rises and when it breaks. Example: two people argue at work. One raises their voice, the other lowers theirs. Who looks unstable? Who appears credible? Who does the authority figure side with? Always the calm one. Here's the forbidden insight. Emotion is contagious, but composure is dominant. The wise man governs himself before attempting to govern others. What happens next is where the real power begins. Most people fear silence. That fear is exploitable. Silence forces projection. The other person fills the gap with assumptions, insecurities, regret. This is why silence feels uncomfortable. It exposes the speaker to himself. Machiavellian thinkers understood this clearly. Never interrupt an enemy when they are revealing too much. When you stay quiet, they talk more. They justify themselves. They weaken their position. Example: someone accuses you unfairly. You don't defend immediately. You pause. You look at them. They keep talking. They contradict themselves. They expose emotional bias. Now you respond. Once, calmly, briefly. You didn't overpower them. You outlasted them. Here's the forbidden insight. Silence shifts the burden of proof onto the aggressor. The one who speaks least often controls the frame. And once the frame is yours, the argument is already over. Here's a truth most people can't handle. Arguments are rarely about the topic. They are about identity, ego, fear, unacknowledged shadow. People argue to defend who they think they are, not what is true. That's why logic fails. You're attacking a self-image. When you raise your voice, you threaten their identity. They fight back harder. But when you stay calm, you signal safety, and safety disarms. Example: someone insists they're right. You say, quietly, "That's interesting. Help me understand why this matters to you." Suddenly, they stop arguing. They explain. You moved from conflict to revelation. Here's the forbidden insight. People reveal their deepest insecurities when they feel heard. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life,
and you will call it fate. Once you see the shadow at work, you stop fighting symptoms, you address causes. The Stoics warned against emotional reaction, not because emotion is weak, but because it's exploitable. The person who provokes you controls you. Raising your voice is surrender. It hands them the steering wheel. Stoic discipline teaches one thing above all: respond, never react. Example: someone insults you publicly. You smile, you pause, you reply calmly. The crowd shifts. The aggressor looks childish. You gain moral high ground without saying it. Here's the forbidden insight. Emotion makes others question themselves. He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior. And once others doubt their emotional footing, your words land heavier. Nietzsche understood power differently. True power does not announce itself. It does not beg. It does not shout. Power is felt. When you remain calm during conflict, you signal surplus strength. Only the insecure need volume. Only the uncertain seek force. Example: watch leaders, judges, strategists. They speak slowly, deliberately, with restraint, because they don't need approval. They expect attention. Here's the forbidden insight. Calmness intimidates unstable minds. The surest way to corrupt a youth is to instruct him to hold in higher esteem those who think alike than those who think differently. When you don't react, you stand apart, and separation creates authority. Winning arguments isn't about words, it's about control. Control of tone, control of pace, control of emotion. The moment you raise your voice, you confess insecurity. The moment you stay calm, you force the other person to reveal theirs. This is the forbidden strategy they never teach, because calm people are hard to manipulate. And once you learn that, you never argue the same way again. Here's what they don't tell you. Silence doesn't just win arguments, it rewires power dynamics. The moment you stop trying to win, you start controlling outcomes. This is the exposed secret behind negotiators, interrogators, judges, and manipulators. And once you understand this layer, raising your voice will feel primitive. Every argument is a status test, whether you admit it or not. Who reacts first? Who explains more? Who seeks approval? That person is lower in the hierarchy. Talking louder is an unconscious attempt to climb status, but it signals desperation. Calmness signals position already secured. Example: two people disagree. One over-explains, the other listens and nods. Observers don't analyze logic, they feel authority, and authority always sounds calm. Here's the forbidden insight. High-status individuals never rush to be understood. The higher you rise, the more slowly you must move. When you slow down, others speed up and reveal themselves. Most people rush arguments because time pressure creates emotional leakage. Silence stretches time, and stretched time creates discomfort. Discomfort forces mistakes. When you pause before answering, three things happen. They doubt their own certainty. They replay their words. They fear they've said too much. Example: someone challenges you aggressively. You wait 3 seconds, then speak. Their confidence drops. Their tone changes. Here's the forbidden insight. People fear silence because it feels like judgment. Speed is a symptom of insecurity. When you control time, you control the interaction. This is one of the most dangerous techniques. Instead of countering their argument, You reflect it back, calmly, neutrally. You're saying X because you believe Y. Now stop talking. They either correct themselves or double down emotionally. Both outcomes benefit you. Example: someone accuses you of being selfish. You reply, so you feel unsupported. Now silence. They soften or overreact. Either way, you've shifted control. Here's the forbidden insight. Mirroring exposes emotional motivation without confrontation. People reveal more when they feel heard. Arguments survive on shared frames. Break the frame, the argument dies. Raising your voice keeps the frame alive. Calm detachment destroys it.
You do this by refusing emotional entry. Example: someone tries to provoke you. You respond, "That's one way to see it." No defense, no offense. Frame collapsed. They now argue alone. Here's the forbidden insight. You don't win arguments by defeating points. You win by invalidating the battlefield. The strongest position is the one that needs no defense. When there's no battlefield, there's no war. This is the final layer and the most powerful. Emotionally charged people feed on reaction. Remove the reaction, they weaken. Stay calm long enough, they self-destruct. Not dramatically, subtly. Tone shifts, words stumble, confidence fades. Example: a manipulator pushes harder when ignored, then retreats when they receive nothing. Here's the forbidden insight. Emotional starvation breaks aggressive behavior faster than confrontation. Fire dies without oxygen. Your calm is the absence they can't survive. Winning without raising your voice is not politeness. It is psychological dominance. It says, "I am not threatened. I am not rushed. I am not reactive." And that message lands deeper than any shout. If this unsettled you, good. Here's the truth no one warns you about. Once you master silence, you cannot go back. Arguments will feel slow. Emotional people will feel loud. Manipulation will become obvious. And the most disturbing realization? Most people don't want truth. They want emotional victory. Silence denies them that reward. This is where real power lives. Winning arguments is not about being right. It's about self-preservation. The ego interprets disagreement as danger, so it seeks dominance, validation, submission. Raising your voice is a signal. I am losing internal control. Silence sends a different message. I don't need your agreement to remain whole. Example: someone argues aggressively. You don't match energy. You don't defend immediately. They escalate, then stall, then soften, because the ego panics when it isn't mirrored. Here's the forbidden insight. Ego needs friction to feel alive. The ego dies in quiet rooms. When you remove friction, the fight collapses. There's a moment in every argument when the other person realizes you are not emotionally available. This is the turning point. They can no longer provoke you. They can no longer bait you. They can no longer control the outcome. They may accuse you of being cold, arrogant, detached. That accusation is a confession. Example: you don't care anymore? No, I'm just listening. Silence again. Here's the forbidden insight. When people can't control you emotionally, they try to shame you socially. Those who cannot reach you will redefine you. Remain still. Let the labels fall. This is the ultimate discipline. Say only what is required, nothing extra, nothing emotional.
Short sentences feel heavier. Pauses feel intentional. Words become precise tools. Example: someone demands justification. You reply, "I disagree." Stop. No explanation. Their mind scrambles for leverage. Here's the forbidden insight. Over-explaining is a bid for acceptance. Power does not persuade, it presides. When you stop explaining, others start seeking your approval. Not every argument deserves resolution. Some people argue to drain, to dominate, to provoke. Silence reveals intent. If they escalate, they wanted power. If they disengage, they wanted clarity. Either way, you gain information. Example: you stop responding emotionally. They accuse, then withdraw. You didn't lose the relationship, you exposed it. Here's the forbidden insight. Silence is the fastest filter for character. What survives without attention was never real. Let the unnecessary fall away. Raising your voice is an admission of urgency, of fear, of internal imbalance. Calmness is a declaration. I am not threatened. I am not rushed. I am in control. This is why silence feels dangerous. It removes emotional leverage, and people fear what they can't manipulate. Winning every argument without raising your voice is not a technique. It's an identity. When you no longer need to win, you always do. When you no longer react, others reveal. When you remain calm, you decide the outcome before words begin. This is not communication. This is psychological authority. If this changed how you see conflict, then you're ready. Here's an idea so simple it feels dangerous to even say out loud. The calmest person in the room is not trying to win. They are deciding who loses access to them. That distinction changes everything. This is where silence stops being a tactic and becomes a filter. Most people never reach this level because it requires something rare: emotional self-sufficiency. Here's the shocking insight. People value what they cannot control and chase what withdraws calmly. When you stop engaging emotionally, the other person feels loss, not of the argument, of influence. Example: you stop responding to provocation. They follow up, then follow again. You didn't escalate, you withdrew. Here's the forbidden insight. Withdrawal creates psychological gravity. What resists force gains force. Silence is resistance without confrontation. When silence works, it triggers escalation. This is the test. They may insult, guilt trip, accuse you of arrogance or indifference. This is not strength, it's loss of leverage. Example: why won't you just respond? You reply calmly, I have nothing to add. Stop. Here's the forbidden insight. Escalation is proof of diminishing power. When someone raises their voice, they are begging. Remain still. The structure collapses on its own. Submission is rarely dramatic. It sounds like, anyway, forget it, do what you want. That is not dismissal. It is acceptance of defeat. They realized something. You are no longer emotionally available, and therefore uncontrollable. Here's the forbidden insight. True dominance is felt, not announced. The strongest person does not need witnesses. You don't celebrate. You don't react. You move on.